A weary single dad boarded a crowded plane with his little daughter, doing his best to juggle her stuffed toy, their bags, and his own exhaustion. Their seats were crammed in the back, and though he smiled to keep her spirits up, inside he worried about how much he could really give her. As he tried to settle in, a woman in first class caught sight of them. With a gentle smile, she stood and offered her luxurious seat to the little girl. The father resisted at first, embarrassed, but the woman insisted, saying softly, "Every princess deserves to fly in comfort." The little girl's eyes lit up as she settled into the wide seat, and the father, deeply grateful, could only thank the stranger. Moments later, a flight attendant leaned in and addressed the woman with respect. The dad overheard the words that left him stunned. "Of course, Ms. Reynolds, this is your airline." His jaw dropped as he realized the woman was not only a kind stranger but the CEO and owner of the entire company. Overwhelmed, he confessed his struggles, how he was just trying to give his daughter the best childhood he could manage. The CEO listened, then shared that she too had grown up with little, and one stranger's kindness had once inspired her to dream bigger. As the plane touched down, the little girl whispered, "Daddy, dreams can come true." And in that moment, the father knew, sometimes the greatest gifts are compassion and hope. The plane had just finished boarding, and the tired father tried to keep his little girl entertained with a coloring book balanced awkwardly on the pull-down tray. She swung her legs happily, too excited to complain about the cramped space. But the father's shoulders slumped with fatigue. He glanced toward the front of the plane, where wide seats and quiet comfort stood in stark contrast to their crowded row. A woman seated in first class noticed them. She was elegant yet approachable, her eyes warm as they lingered on the little girl's bright face. Without a second thought, she stood and walked back. "Hi there," she said gently, crouching to the girl's level. "Would you like to sit up front, where you'll have more room?" The father looked startled. "Oh no, we couldn't possibly," he began, but the woman cut him off with a smile. "Please. Every princess deserves to fly in comfort." She turned to the dad, her tone reassuring. "It's just one seat, but maybe it makes the journey easier." The little girl's eyes sparkled as she clutched her stuffed toy. "Daddy, can we?" she whispered. The father hesitated, his pride tugging at him, but the kindness in the stranger's face left no room for refusal. Slowly, with a lump in his throat, he nodded. As the little girl settled into the plush chair, her joy filled the cabin. For the first time that day, the father felt a small weight lift, carried by the unexpected generosity of a stranger. The father stood beside his daughter's new seat, still stunned by the woman's generosity. The little girl's laughter rang out as she explored the buttons, leaning back in the wide leather chair and whispering, "Daddy, it feels like a castle." He chuckled softly, though a part of him still felt uneasy accepting something so grand from a stranger. Just then, a flight attendant approached, speaking with unusual respect. "Ms. Reynolds, are you sure you'd like to give up your seat?" The woman's answer was calm and confident, "Yes. She needs it more than I do." The father blinked, puzzled. "Ms. Reynolds?" The attendant smiled politely but hesitated, lowering her voice as if reminding the woman of something obvious, "But ma'am, this is your airline." The words landed like thunder. The father froze, his eyes darting between the attendant and the kind woman. "Your airline?" he whispered in disbelief. The woman gave a small nod, her expression humble, almost amused at his surprise. He felt his throat tighten, realizing the person who had so casually given up first-class comfort wasn't just another passenger, she was the CEO, the owner of the very airline they were flying on. The little girl, blissfully unaware, tugged at her dad's sleeve. "Daddy, the nice lady gave me the best seat ever." The father swallowed hard, his gratitude now mixed with awe. What kind of leader, he thought, gives away her seat without hesitation? The father's heart raced, still trying to process the truth. He leaned closer, his voice low but trembling with sincerity. "I don't know how to thank you. I'm just trying to give her the childhood she deserves. Some days I feel like I'm falling short." The woman studied him with kind eyes, her expression softening. She gestured for him to sit across from her in an empty seat nearby. "You know," she said quietly, "I understand more than you think." He looked at her, skeptical. How could someone so powerful understand what it was like to struggle? But then her voice took on a raw honesty. "I grew up with nothing. My father worked 3 jobs, my mom prayed every night the lights would stay on. When I was about your daughter's age, a stranger showed me a kindness I never forgot. It gave me hope, and hope was enough to change everything." The father's eyes stung. He hadn't expected a story like this, not from someone who owned an entire airline. She leaned in, her tone both steady and tender. "That's why I do this. Success means nothing if you can't use it to lift someone else." For a moment, the noise of the plane faded. It was just 2 parents, one tired, one triumphant, bonded by the shared knowledge of sacrifice and love. The father felt something stir inside him, a reminder that he wasn't failing at all. He was showing his daughter the meaning of resilience and kindness. As the plane began its descent, the cabin lights dimmed to a soft glow. The little girl was curled happily in the wide seat, her stuffed toy tucked under her arm. She turned to her father, eyes shining. "Daddy, this is the best day ever. Dreams can come true, right?" Her words struck him deeper than she knew. He swallowed hard, brushing a hand gently over her hair. "Yes, sweetheart. They really can." The woman, no longer just a stranger, but a beacon of hope, stood and placed a small card in his hand. "Call me when you're ready to dream bigger," she said with a smile. There was no arrogance in her tone, only sincerity. It wasn't a business pitch, nor a promise of money, it was an invitation to believe in himself again. The father blinked back tears, overcome not by the wealth she represented, but by the reminder that compassion still existed in the world. He managed to whisper, "Thank you, for seeing us." The CEO squeezed his hand warmly. "Never underestimate what you're already giving her. Love and hope are worth more than first class." When the wheels touched down, the little girl bounced in her seat, her joy filling the cabin like sunlight. The father held her close, his spirit lighter than it had been in years. He realized then that kindness costs nothing, yet its impact is immeasurable. Sometimes the smallest act can remind us that we're not alone, and that, together, we can lift each other higher.